Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here, and welcome to another entry in our Tournament Cast series. So this is actually Game 2 in the finals of the Total Warhammer Cup, and it's going to be a matchup between the Greenskins, who are going to be played by Viking Cat, and he's going to be facing off against the Empire, who is going to be piloted by Soothsayer. So they're actually shortened versions of their names, but again, you guys will most certainly see their full profile names in the post-game screen. So let's get right into the army composition here. So for the Greenskin player, he actually has the Warlord's Boys, as well as the Regiment of Renowned Night Goblins over here. And again, why doesn't it say their name? Don't they have like a special name? To Warlord's Boys, and these are the Poison variant, but to 8 Peak Loonies, I believe. So he does have both of these. Again, they do have the stock mechanic, so right now they aren't visible to the Empire player. And on top of that, for how cheap they are, I think they are really, really good units. The Warlord's Boys, they do have an armor sundering attack, so against like great swords, and even if you're able to get them on like a steam tank or, a heroic unit, a General of the Empire or Karl Franz, these guys are a really, really solid unit, and they have pretty decent stats for how cheap they are, with 33 melee defense, 36 melee attack, and 27 weapon strength. And on top of all that, they do have silver shields. So aside from that, he does have the 8 Peak Loonies here, which I believe is what these are, and it is indeed the 8 Peak Loonies, the Regiment of Renown for the Fanatics, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they do have this kind of ranged attack, the Loons of the 8 Peaks, which I haven't used terribly often. So if any of you guys have used this and have found it to be useful, go ahead and let us know in the comments below. But more importantly, these guys are unbreakable, which I really, really like. Having that kind of solid backbone in your Greenskin line is very valuable. So on top of that, he does have Durusty Heirs as well as some Goblin Archers, and this is probably one of my favorite synergies with the Greenskins as a whole. Durusty Heirs, much like the Warlord's Boys, do have the armor sundering. So when they make contact with their missiles on any unit, for example, but it does have friendly fire. So if like you're shooting into a crowd of infantry fighting and your Black Orcs take some shots in the back, they are going to have their armor sundered as well, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, when the armor sundering does go through, it takes off 30 armor. So like against the General of the Empire who has 85 armor, or even like an Amber Wizard. That'll set the Amber Wizard down to 20 and the General of the Empire down to 50, which is really low. And then that'll allow some of your like damage dealer units like Biggins or pretty much anything to just deal a lot more damage to them. So quite a strong ability there. Aside from that, he does have some Black Orcs and Biggins, kind of a very traditional Greenskin line. No Savage Orcs in this build. Savage Orcs I actually really like against the Empire with that 30% physical resistance, but this is kind of the old school, very safe, very well-tested build where you kind of just mix Black Orcs and Biggins and you get your, you get your tank and you get your spank. These guys do have a bit of an anti-large bonus, and again, the Black Orcs are immune to psychology, which is really nice because the Empire typically likes to bring these Royal Griffins, which again do cause terror. So definitely good stuff there. So aside from that, he does have some nasty Skulkers, which he's keeping on top of this Night Goblin Shaman and his Night Goblin War Boss. So what he can do with this is he can use the Smoke Bomb ability. So if you guys take a look, it slows by 76%. So it's very, very key against the Empire to have these, because if the Empire does come in with their Flying Goon Squad and it's just cycle charging and harassing your heroic units, this is a great tool for slowing them down and allowing some of your Goblin Big Bosses and other units to catch up. On top of that, he does have the Durkit Squig. So I actually haven't seen these guys terribly often, but they do have an anti-infantry bonus and poison attacks. So and they actually do have a real anti-infantry bonus. It's not like one of those ones that just says it. So if you mouse over it, they do get +9 first infantry. So not bad at all. Definitely a cool pick. And the poison is pretty nice to have on a mobile unit with 84 move speed. Aside from that, he does have some Orc Boar Boy Biggins over here, and I think, yeah, does he have another group? Yeah, it looks like he has 2 groups of Orc Boar Boy Biggins. Quite a tongue twister there. Aside from that, he does have 2 Goblin Wolf Riders on each flank, which I think is a staple against Empire. Because Empire is traditionally going to have like very weak missile units like crossbowmen and things like that, and handgunners that are very powerful, especially like the Silver Bullet. So having these guys to kind of just harass them and ride them down is very, very useful. And even if you don't like get through your opponent's line, it's extremely useful for just kind of like pressuring them and stressing them out and forcing them to micro more. So on top of that, I think that's it for the Greenskin player. So for our Empire player, he does have the Amber Wizard, so the traditional kind of trollish Empire Air Force. Because again, the Amber Wizard did get some nerfs. It used to have a charge bonus of 90, but still, it's 2 massive terror-causing units that are very, very strong. And he also does have the Flock of Doom, which of course is a staple there. And it looks like he's actually coming in pretty hot, which is a very common tactic you see with the Empire. They'll kind of fly over and just kind of harass your wings, because something about the way that these units fly is they come in and they can just like pull out immediately. Like they never get trapped like some other mounts do. I found like zombie dragons and Pegasus, like they get trapped a lot easier than these guys do for some reason. So he's charging in there, gets a little bit of a charge bonus, but again, the Orc Boar Boy Biggins should be able to fend those off. But hey, that's some free kills right there, and he took almost no damage. So looks like the Night Goblin Shaman using the Gorkle Fix-It, which I've been seeing a lot more in the meta to like slow down units, but unfortunately they still just get away. So for the Empire player, he does have a steam tank. He has a kind of a hybrid line of Spearmen and Flagellants, which I like. The Flagellants will do very, very well against like the Biggins. Granted, the Biggins will win. The Flagellants will put up a pretty good fight and do some good HP damage. He does have a steam tank, which costs over 2,000 resources, so that's going to be a big portion of your army. And you're going to need to get some serious value out of those guys. He has some crossbowmen, some spears. He also does have some Empire Knights actually. So definitely having to go a little bit cheaper since he invested so much in that steam tank. And on top of that, he does have this Amber Wizard on a very, very expensive mount. Aside from that, in the back line, he does have some great swords, which I think is really good. Definitely going to need a little bit of AP to get through those black orcs and some spears in the back line. So let's get right to the business, guys, and it looks like the fighting is starting. So the Amber Wizard does drop a Flock of Doom, and that was a beautiful flock. It hit these Goblin Archers, the Rusty Arrows, it hit these Black Orcs, just a very big, juicy one, which is very, very well played there. And you can see the Steam Tank is also pressuring the back line, poking away these Cav, because again, the Cav are one of the only real, units he's going to have to be able to deal with that Steam Tank, because Steam Tanks, guys, are extremely fast. They actually have 50 speed, and the Orc Boars have armor piercing and anti-large. So on paper, they are designed to take out that Steam Tank. So I think the Steam Tank, or the Empire player, does realize that and is definitely going after them pretty aggressively. So the Empire Knights are kind of shifting around the back line, looking for a seam, and what he's probably going to do over here is kind of, just kind of sit them in the wing and maybe engage with these Orc Boar Boy Biggins and try and swarm using the General of the Empire as well. So he might charge in here, which would, again, trap these guys down, and then the Empire Knights wouldn't get countercharged. So he does charge in there, which is pretty good. In the front line, you can see some of these Night Goblins have engaged with these spears, and the spears are actually holding up pretty well, but again, these Warlords boys will eventually get through them, I think, and you can see they actually have 0 armor due to that sundering. So over here on the side, you can see the Black Orcs are being detached to kind of come and help out in this very, very heated battle over here. You can see the Orc Boar Boy Biggins have engaged and gotten a pretty good surround on the Lord right here, which is very, very solid. But the problem is the Empire Knights are coming in pretty hot. Though they're not like inherently designed to fight units like Orc Boar Boy Biggins, they're going to do very well. And guys, also there's 2 terror-causing units here, and Orc Boar Boy Biggins are not immune to psychology, so they're going to rout off extremely quickly. You can see the Greenskin player does react with an Itchy Nuisance, so very, very well played there. And he did get some Biggins, which have kind of like come over here. And also the Black Orcs are tying up some Great Swords, but yeah, Great Swords charging in on these guys in conjunction with the Flagellants is going to be really hard for these Black Orcs, and they're probably going to get cut up pretty good because a lot of their damage is being focused on Flagellants, which isn't the most cost-effective, and the Great Swords have a very nice little concave on them here. So over here on the outside, again, this is a very contested part of the battle. It seems that both players have certainly prioritized this engagement. You can see some Flagellants coming in with the Gork'll fix it. But again, these Orc Boar Boy Biggins got a second group in here. They also have the Squig Nighthoppers, which do cause poison. So that poison effect is going to be really nice. And you can see the Empire Knights actually get driven off, which is really, really good stuff. You can also see the Squig Hoppers and the other units kind of pouncing in here, jumping on some of these Flagellants, and will definitely do a pretty good job of kind of, pushing through those guys. So over here, it looks like the Great Swords are doing pretty well against these Black Orcs, but Black Orcs are just so incredibly resilient. They should be able to hold against these 2 groups for quite some time. In the front line, bit of a wild cockfight. You can see this Night Goblin Warboss, and this is a really tough thing because the Night Goblin Warboss is not immune to psychology. He does have the potions, but he actually gets terrified before he's even able to pop those. So he's routed off right now, and if the Empire player had kept his General of the Empire as well as this Amber Wizard on that Goblin, that could have been just absolutely backbreaking, but he actually lets him slip up, opting instead to kind of shut down the Night Goblin fire, which was doing a really good job of actually punishing this Amber Wizard, who is somewhat squishy at the end of the day. It only has 50 armor. So the Goblin firing squad doing really good, and he does pull these nasty Skulkers in. Very, very well played. And he's able to kind of lock this guy down and, essentially just kill this Amber Wizard right now. So you can see the nasty Skulkers are definitely pretty hyped, but it looks like the General of the Empire is in hot pursuit of this Night Goblin. But if he lets this Night Goblin Warboss come back from breaking, it's going to be able to pop both of its potions and will be in very, very good shape. But I think essentially he did see that there was like some Wolf Riders and some other units over here, so he opted not to go for it right away, but actually he may not have just noticed because you can see now he's actually going after it, but he actually uses Gork'll Fix It, which is slowing him down and just getting him peppered with missiles. But the Night Goblin Wolf Riders here are kind of in a protective formation. They're definitely going to get terror routed themselves very quickly, but this Night Goblin Warboss really needs to come back for the Greenskin player. That's going to be essential to this game. So right now you can see the Goblin firing squad though is in pretty good position here. In the back line, these Orc Boar Boy Biggins and the Squigs were able to kind of secure that back line and push off some of the threats. And you can see he thinks about coming in there, but he does see those Orc Boars and quickly realizes that was a bad idea. So the Greenskin player, Viking Cat, does get his Goblin Warboss back online. He does pop his potions, but unfortunately he's about to get dove pretty hard by this just angry, erect Griffin. So he comes in there, gets a little bit of a charge, but the Warboss isn't, a complete pushover. He's pretty squishy as far as Lords go, and yeah, he's actually, man, he's taking a beating, but he's running back to his Squigs and his Nighthoppers, who again, if they get a surround on this guy, are going to be pretty good. You can also see the General of the Empire does use a potion to get away there, so very, very well played. But the Steam Tank is also coming in pretty hot, and the Steam Tank hits pretty hard, and you can see it gets a nice little ram there on that Night Goblin Warboss, but the Rusty Arrows are so incredibly good against the Steam Tank. They're just kind of focusing it down and allowing a lot of these other units to really get in there and do some serious work. So an excellent surround from the Greenskin player. He has the Orc Boar Boy Biggins with the leader there, mind you. So they also have that encouragement, so hopefully they won't rout off as quickly. But Steam Tanks do cause terror, guys, so you can see there's going to be some terror routing issues, which is really tough, and also makes the Steam Tank a very, very powerful pick in this matchup. So over here you can see in the back line, some of these Black Orcs are a little bit tattered. They've been fighting some great swords and, trading somewhat efficiently. Over here on the far side, we do have some Biggins and some other guys who look like they've won this engagement. So if we take a big overhead view, you can see there's a very healthy greenskin pocket here, and these black orcs are just going to collapse right on the back of these greatswords down here. You can see they're going to jump in there, get a rear charge, and they're just going to cut these guys to pieces. Because again, black orcs are pretty superior as it pertains to armor-piercing elite infantry. You can see these greatswords are definitely going to have a bad time. They were not expecting this rear charge here. So two groups of somewhat healthy black orcs in the back line. The Jade Wizard actually is being hunted by by Goblin Wolf Riders, which is very, very excellent play from Viking Cat. These guys, like, they're squishy. They only have 20 armor, so even Night Goblins can probably almost like push a Jade Wizard off the battlefield. So being able to get that isolated was very, very essential, and you can see he's probably going to even kill it here. So essentially, healing is off the table. This General of the Empire has used its potion, so there's not going to be any more healing here. So you can see the Steam Tank is kind of pushing through, and he's just keeping it kind of in tandem with these spears. I really like this from the Empire player. He just kind of has a mob, so anytime they come in to fight any of these units, they're just going to get chain terror routed, if I'm not mistaken. Some Goblin Archers did come back. They are obstructed right now, but having that firing against these tattered units is going to be pretty good. And you can also see over here some Goblin Archers, as well as the Rusty Arrows, are trying to reform ranks to get some firing, but you do have some Spearmen coming. So what I would really like to see is like see these guys push up and through here, and maybe like reunite with these Black Orcs and just form a single formation, because when they're isolated right here, they're just going to simply get run over, even by spears. So right now they're going to get rear charged, they're shaken, and their leadership immediately goes to -72. And you can see the Steam Tank is literally just running over these Gobos, but it looks like they scurry faster when they're like terrified. Is that just me, or is that actually a thing? But they're moving pretty quick here, getting chased down, and you can see the Black Orcs and the Greenskin troops are coming to try and help out as best they can. It looks like the Greenskin player does have this Night Goblin Shaman still hidden. It hasn't been discovered yet, so very, very well played, kind of skulking around over there. And on that same coin, it looks like the Night Goblin War Boss is broken. Some of these Orc Boars are trying to get in there and help out, but they're shaken also. And this General of the Empire with that terror is probably going to be able to just terrify them again. And yeah, you can see they just get terrified, and then they actually shatter. So the Night Goblin War Boss is broken. He may come back, but he doesn't have any more healing, guys. So it's going to be really tough. So if we look overhead, we see mostly Black Orcs and some Biggins over here. We also see a Night Goblin Shaman. So thankfully, the Greenskin player, for his sake, does still have some leadership left in his army. So if he's able to keep it nearby, and perhaps if he has like a Gorkle fix it or something, you know, he might be able to salvage this situation. But unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to be able to come back from this. Again, I don't know the result of this game. I'm just casting it live. Well, not live exactly, but the Steam Tank has, you know, about 80% of his ammunition. It has 50 move speed, and he doesn't really have anything that can catch it. So if the Empire player really wants to win this game, and mind you, it is a tournament, so he could just kite, shoot, and, you know, at the end of the day, this Greenskin player has absolutely no way of catching him. So that's going to be really, really tough. As far as that, he does have Rusty Arrows over here and some Goblin Biggin, or some Orc Boar Boy Biggins, who, if they shoot in here, you can see they're doing some decent damage to the Steam Tank. So this is probably one of the saving graces that he still has left. Granted, they're probably going to just get terrified off the battlefield here in just a moment. The Empire player also has some great swords and some spears coming back from route, but aside from that, the Empire player doesn't really have much left. He has some like really tattered spears and some tattered great swords, but if anyone has like a strong core of units left, it's definitely the Greenskin player, having a group of 55 Black Orcs. He also has some Night Goblins here and the Shaman. I'm not sure. I wish like in the replays you could actually see like the amount of Winds of Magic left or the recharge rate that they were currently at. I think that would be really, really neat. So aside from that, the great swords over here are kind of regrouping, probably trying to get over with the Lord, and you can see the General of the Empire is going to be able to chase this Night Goblin War Boss off the battlefield here. He might even try and charge in and get a little killing blow here, but he does have about 600 HP, so I don't think he's going to be able to kill him, but he's definitely going to chase him off the battlefield and make sure he does not come back, which will trigger another leadership issue for the Greenskin army. So right now, the Greenskins are actually pulling back a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe they're just trying to like consolidate all their troops, get these Goblin Wolf Riders kind of joined up with them. I think that would probably be a pretty good idea. So we might fast forward a little bit here, because it looks like there's going to be some posturing from both players. So you can see the Steam Tank just continuing to bombard these guys. It's working down this group of Black Orcs, and there's a General of the Empire, and this is going to just be brutal. So the General of the Empire is going to come in. The Black Orcs are immune to psychology, which is really nice. Granted, their base leadership is down to 20 now, which is tough. So the Greenskin player, though, he actually probably didn't see that Night Goblin Shaman, so he does get an itchy nuisance on him. Unfortunately, it's not like some sort of a slowing mechanism. Granted, Griffins are just so good at getting away from, you know, anything. Like, I feel like I can never trap them down no matter how well I have them surrounded. It's pretty tough. So over here, some of these Black Orcs are going to push. They're shaken. Their Lord recently fled. You know, they're in a pretty bad way here, and that Steam Tank is just kind of tearing into them. And Steam Tanks are just such a powerful unit. You can see it's already racked up over, what, 200 kills at this point. A lot of the Greenskin troops are actually kind of wavering over here on the side. So the Empire player is simply just going to fly in and kind of take advantage of that flying mechanic. He's just going to cycle charge and then simply run away. So you see, even though he's like a little congested in troops, he's able to just simply, you know, just say like, screw this shit, I'm out of here, and just, you know, pushes away no problem. So I really would like to see them fix that. I feel like it's kind of an abuse mechanic, because having the ability to like fly alone and just pick any destination on the battlefield without obstruction is already a very powerful tool. So being able to just engage and pull out like that so quickly, I don't like the way it's played out in the game. not in this game per se, but just in general in Total War Warhammer. So anyways, you can see the General of the Empire coming in here pretty hot on his Griffin. He's going to push in there. You can see the Steam Tank kind of blasting some of these guys, and the Great Swords rallying in the fourth quarter. Definitely very, very heroic, pushing through the smoke and the brimstone and the gore, and definitely, you know, chasing these Black Orcs off, who are leaderless at this point. So the General of the Empire is going to push in with the last of his Great Swords and lead a heroic charge, and is definitely going to be able to deal with some of these Black Swords. I almost called them Black Swords. That'd be kind of cool, though, against these Black Orcs. So the Night Goblin Shaman is fighting in here, and he does have 280 weapon swing, so not a complete pushover. But again, against the heavy armor of this General of the Empire, he probably won't be able to do much, although it looks like his armor was sundered there for a minute, because I guess the 8 Peak Loonies or Warlords Boys are one of those regiments for now were in there. So the Steam Tank and all these different troops are just pushing in there, and you can see it's kind of just become a cycle route. The Terror is a very, very strong mechanic. Though the Black Orcs are fighting to the bitter end, it looks like that is going to be all she wrote for our Greenskin player. So I think there's still some unbreakable troops left on the map. That's probably why this battle's still going. There's some big ones, but at this point, we're probably just going to fast forward through. So yeah, you can see the General of the Empire is just kind of going around and just making sure that everything is shattered, and very well played to both players. That was an awesome match. It was cool. We got to see some units that you don't normally see, including these Regiment of Renown Durkit Squigs. Some good play all around with the Warlords Boys, and the Night Goblin Warboss. Not having him on a mount was pretty tricky, because again, he was very easy to isolate, and he did have protection, but having that Terror mechanic, because Terror routes off Orc Boy Biggins so incredibly quickly. So it's a pretty risky pick in this matchup, I would say, but still, a decent one nonetheless. I really like the Night Goblin Warboss and the fact that he can carry potions and has pretty decent AP and poison. So the Black Orcs, big performers. You can also see a ton of kills from from the Biggins. They really, really just shredded. So the Empire Infantry definitely, took the brunt of that and didn't do that well. But again, the Empire player put most of his resources into the tank, into the flying heroic units and all that kind of stuff. So I actually don't think I noticed a Jade Wizard right out of the gates. But yeah, the flying mechanic, if you look at like zombie dragons and Pegasi and units like that, when they land, they seem to get trapped somewhat effectively, just from my observation. And again, this could be completely anecdotal, but they seem to actually get trapped, and it's a little harder to get away. Whereas like the Royal Hippogriffs, or the Hippogriffs in general, they seem to be able to just escape so incredibly easy. Like they can just path out no problem. Even if they're fully surrounded, they seem to always be able to push their way out. So I don't know if that's the case. If you guys have experienced that, let me know in the comments below. But regardless, very, very well played between Viking Cat 91 and Thaxtlin Soothsayer. That was a great game. And again, that was the second game in this series, and there are 4 games total. So again, I will be posting the next 2 games. And of course, thank you to Shetland Apache, the host of the Total Warhammer Cup, for sending me these replays. And guys, more content coming soon. Have an excellent night and take care.